Hi, kitty cats. I went to the Atlanta Pride Festival this past weekend, and I learned at least one very important lesson, which is that the queer community is not beaten yet. Instead, we're celebrating, and we're going to take back every inch that we've lost in 2025 so far. So we'll talk about that story, and then finally, I really want to get back to the Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood, where we left Fortuna at this point, facing a change in leadership in the coven, the big coven. So there you go. Let me do my little opening plugs here. So you know who I am. I am Dr. Amethysta Herrick. I am an author and a podcaster. My work is discussing identity and gender from a scientific standpoint. I hope you will check the link that's right down there below there for more information about me and the work that I do. My website, you can see there, it's purplepawclan.com. If you go there, there's a whole page all about me, and you can follow me on all the social media networks that I'm on. And you can also read the articles that I've written over the past few years, as well as view the podcasts and live streams that I put out there. So if you like this content, and I have no reason to believe you won't, please consider subscribing at purplepawclan.com. You can get a subscription for as low as $5 a month. And if you just want to keep track of what's going on in my career, you can even just sign up for the newsletter. It's like a monthly newsletter. I got a new one coming out in the next, I don't know, I guess the next week. I missed last month. I realized I missed September, and I feel kind of badly about it. So I also like to publish articles and podcasts by other contributors. So if you are interested in contributing your own original work about identity or gender, then I encourage you to email me. Once again, that same website, purplepawclan.com. There's a contact page, and you can email me, and we'll talk about doing stuff like that. And it could be a lot of fun. I'd love to publish your stuff. So let's see. So first of all, I see I see Frybird. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Frybird, who says, just email me, do not send me pies. Well, that's a good point. I see Genevieve. Genevieve, by the way, I know, thank you, Frybird, for the gift, by the way. Genevieve, I know you mentioned you were going to get a tattoo, and I don't know if you got it. I've been meaning to follow up on that, and because it kind of got lost last week, so I was hoping you could tell us something about that. I also see Margie. Hi, how are you doing? We do need more love for everybody. All right, let me see what we got. Here's my little agenda. First of all, I want to start off. So Princess Thistle. Maybe you remember Princess. I cannot say that very well. Princess Thistle is facing some medical issues. I don't know if you've noticed, she's been absent now for a few weeks because she's been in the hospital. And so what I want to say at the outset here, I'm sending her good energy. I hope that everybody out there will do the same, because Thistle is she's a good person, and I don't know. I think we should try to take care of her a little bit with our energy. All right, so coming up today, so I went to Atlanta Pride Festival this past weekend. There was a whole story on how we got there that I'm going to tell. I didn't expect such a huge celebration. I guess I don't know, what the hell I expected, but I'm going to tell this story, and I'm going to tell you what it meant to me, because it actually meant a tremendous amount. I thought I was going to have a guest tonight, by the way. My friend Ms. Lewis, she was the one who inspired me to get to Atlanta Pride Festival, but apparently she's stuck working. So, hey, Emerson, look at that. Emerson is here. You'll do it? You'll email me? Oh, it's me. I'm the guest. There you go. I know. I really need to bring Emerson or Frybird in here. I don't know. Email me and let's set this up. Anyway, she's stuck working, so I'm going to tell the story as best as I can without her. Cookie here, I see, has come out as gay. I'm glad to hear that. Good on you, Cookie. Did you go to the Atlanta Pride Festival? All right, and then finally, I definitely want to play some more Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood after a break. Last time we played, I know that we saw there was a shakeup in the coven. Adana is gone, so it's time for a new leader. And I think the point of the game here, I think the conclusion is going to be that we're going to play a big part in the future of the coven. Frybird asks, does the story involve pies? No, not a lot. And I'll tell if somebody asks more about it, I'll let you know. There will be a content warning. But all right, here is the only bit, Frybird. Okay, go ahead and like maybe zone out for 30 seconds or something. But the way that I ended up getting to this Atlanta Pride Festival, it was kind of silly. Frybird has now alluded to it. Maybe you remember the the pie in the face videos that I've made in the past. Maybe you hate them, like Frybird might, and maybe you love them. Who even knows? This is not really the point. The point was that I put one out in June, which was Pride Month, right? Because I call the whole thing Pied for Pride. Anyway, I got a comment from Ms. Lewis. Now she lives in Georgia. She's close to Atlanta. And the video, the comedy was supposed to be that I had avoided because I put it out on June 30th or whatever the last day of June is. The comedy was that I said that I had avoided the pies in the face that year for 2025. And that was not supposed to be the case. It was just set up to make, these imminent incoming pies funnier. Anyway, so she tells me, well, Pride is in October in Atlanta, so come out. Literally and figuratively, or I guess figuratively first and then literally. Come out and she'll give me another chance to be hit with pies. Anyway, I thought that it was funny. I had no intent to go to Georgia. Really, truly had no intent. I was kind of afraid of what the political situation might be, particularly by October. And I just didn't want to put myself in danger. So that's kind of the setup there. I do see, Frybird says they traumatized her. Oh my gosh. Emerson, I think your coming out might have been better with pie, yeah. She says she kind of missed out there. Though, there is always time, right? There's always room for Jell-O. There's always time for coming out with pies. I think that's sort of a rule of thumb that's been around for a while. Okay, so let me see. So Genevieve also says, so she's got some of her tattoos finished. Oh, okay. So she's got 2, one's finished already. Yay. So Margie loves the pies. Okay, thank you. They're so dumb. They're brilliant. Yeah. Steph Terbrock asks me, am I a Republican? I am not actually registered Republican or Democrat, so thank you for the question, I suppose. Miss Chief is here. Hi. Boy, it's been a while. I was going to reach out the other day, and I keep thinking, I'm worried about you, and for some reason I keep thinking, well, what I shouldn't do then is reach out, which is maybe foolish. So I will reach out, I promise. I hope you're doing okay. All right, back to my story here. There's an interesting thing here. Over the course, so Ms. Lewis sent this comment, and I was like, oh, that's funny, isn't that funny? And then we just started DMing back and forth, because it turns out we're both in the queer community, and we just kind of hit it off. And I mean, ultimately, we talked on the phone. And I guess the crazy thing is that, like, we actually became friends. I mean, same with, like, Frybird. And I would even say with Margie, although you and I haven't talked on the phone, Miss Chief, I've made friends with many of you. And so I was thinking, well, I almost want to go to Georgia, like, just to meet my friend. Now, it turns out we actually have some family in Georgia, and as it turns out, not far from Atlanta. So September rolls around, and I ask my wife, are you interested in going? And so she looks around. What's in Atlanta? Who even knows? There's cultural stuff. There's the Margaret Mitchell house, the person who wrote Gone with the Wind. There's an aquarium out there, the Atlanta Aquarium. There's the botanical gardens. And so we're like, okay, we should do it. We're going to go see some family. We make plans to travel and, of course, go to this Pride Festival. I'm going to tell you, I still didn't know what the political situation was. There's no doubt. Steph Tabrak, I will get to you in one sec, by the way, just so you know. Things continue to get uglier here in the United States. And as hi Jade, as this week arrives, as last week arrives, I start getting nervous because what's going to happen? I had a couple of people warn me in private, warned me literally about protesters, about violence, and a couple of people said, try not to stand out too much. Yeah, I wasn't sure how well that was going to work, but so that's the setup. We actually go out, so we go out there, right? Oh my gosh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Emerson says that all she got coming out was PTSD. Ouch. I'm sorry, Emerson. I do like this. Hypnothista being pied broke my sensitive lesbian heart. I know. It's all in good fun. I've let you get inside my brain. All right, so here's a great point. I do like this. Reaching out to struggling community members is a good thing. Yeah, I totally agree. Even if we're not struggling, I think it's great just to get some of this community. And for what it's worth, that's part of what Ms. Lewis was trying to do as well. Like as the time came up, we started talking. Oops, sorry. We started talking to other people. We're like, everybody else, we should come out. Why not? So anyway, again, come out to the festival, not again figuratively and then literally. Oh boy. So let's see. Okay, so I'm going to answer this question. How old was I when I transitioned? I think is the question. So I am 55 today. I love I always love this question. I started formal transition 3 years ago, so I was 52 years old in a few months. So 52. Let's see. So Miss Chief, I'm sorry you've been poorly. That's okay. So you got off the medications. Okay, good. So you've gotten off the medications. Now you're on the mend. Fabulous. Yeah, I'm sending healing vibes as well. The thing was, I got to tell you, Margie, walking around, I'm like, you know what? I don't. I thought it was going to stand out quite a bit, but I'm looking around and I'm like, nah, I'm okay. Wasn't too hard to blend into that. I love this, Victoria. So let's see. Yeah, October Pride, I'll tell you. So it's held so you're in the middle of the summer for you. So yeah, we're June here in Colorado. If I can even imagine doing Pride in June in Atlanta, like how difficult. Like everybody's just going to be walking around going, you know what, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go find some air conditioning. October was actually very magical. I have not been, so I should say this too. I have not been in Georgia, I think since 2002, I think and I went there for a wedding. I actually left Georgia when I graduated from grad school in 1998. And this is part of the story, so I will get there. But it's an important part of the story. So I really, really didn't know a lot about what was going to happen here. So anyway, we get to Georgia. And the day, so we got there on like a Thursday night. On Friday, no, Frybird, I'm not from Georgia. I'm from California, right? But I went to Georgia just for graduate school. So I'm from Los Angeles, but I'm really struggling to get this stupid necklace centered too, and I'm trying to do it like on the sly, and it really doesn't make a difference. All right, we get to Georgia, this last week, and I actually met another content creator there, somebody named Amethysta May, and she was great too. I had met her through a Discord community. So Amethysta and Amethyst May, I did have to take a picture because, there were people who had, like most people, had never seen us both in the same room. They were not sure if we were different people. Turned out we were. We are still, actually. We haven't changed, and we actually planned out a couple of events. I'm streaming something with her, I think on Thursday. I think we might be playing Palia. I don't even know. And then there's a panel that I'm going to be part of on Twitch on Friday. I guess that I'll be part of. So I'm thinking this is good, right? This is like work. I'm doing kind of work type stuff. Let me see. What do we got? Somebody's. You were wondering how I sound like a Valley girl, but from Georgia. I'm a little Valley girl, but so anyway, finally, so on Saturday I go up to the festival. It's a good time. I finally meet Ms. Lewis in person. And I mean, you know, if you've talked back and forth with somebody for, at this point, a couple of months, like we're friends. And it was just a blast. We spent much of Saturday just like walking around, talking, looking at things. And it was truly amazing. It was truly magical. And I didn't know Amethyst May very well, but yes, it was like stereo amethysts, stereo amethysty. I didn't know Amethyst May very well. We got along very well too, and that was super fun. And this led me to the first lesson that I learned, because I do actually have lessons. It wasn't just supposed to be a fun story, but the first lesson that I learned is that you can connect with somebody over social media, and it can still be a real, like, connection. You know, I think you hear psychologists, you hear a lot of people say all kinds of things where they say, with social media and everything, we just have no real connection. And it's not necessarily true. I don't think it's easy to do it, to connect over social media, because we have the tendency to do, they're calling it Facebook Lives, right? We post only the good events. We don't talk about who we really are because we're trying to put forth this persona. But social media can absolutely be powerful as a form of connection as long as we're authentic in our communication. I don't know that I really believed that. But now that and Morning Wind, hi Morning Wind. Now that I've connected with many of you, and now I've actually connected with some of you in person, I really truly believe that friends are going to be friends no matter where you make them. No matter where you make them. And you only make friends ultimately if you're able to be authentic. So, all right, what do we got? See, and Margie says too, she believes we have a genuine connection across planetary hemispheres. I totally believe it. I mean, I think it's possible. I really believe it's possible to make a strong connection without it necessarily having to be in person. So anyway, that's lesson one. That's the least of the lessons, for what it's worth. What was I going to say about this? Oh, I'm glad we're getting all of the mean people right at the beginning. I appreciate this. I don't know if Facts for Reals recognizes my my race, but I don't know if it's Josk or Yosk. That's a beautiful question. Could I be friends with hardcore MAGAs? I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good question. I will tell you, I have struggled. People that that I know in person, that I have struggled to continue being friends with them. There's a lot of reasons behind that. If we look at what's going on in the world today, if you don't agree with everything that the administration is doing right now, you were instrumental in putting the person in place who's doing all the things. I think I would struggle. I do see Frybird saying can't, won't. I believe that. I think it'd be tough. Okay, so yes, I'm also going on Twitch as well, by the way, Morning Wind. All right, so let me go through lesson 2 here. So if I get to Atlanta, right? I'm in the middle of this festival, in the middle of like a bajillion people, like give or take, about a bajillion minus many tens of thousands. I start off very nervous. I'm not great with a lot of people around, first of all. But again, I struggle with this political climate. It's awful these days, and it goes double for the queer community. I'm already looking at comments. I've been live for 20 minutes, and I've already got some kind of, ugly comments. So maybe it goes triple for the gender diverse community. Point is, I was nervous. All right, I was nervous. As I walked around, and ultimately when I met Ms. Lewis there, the mood was high. Saturday was already feeling really, really good. There was a huge amount of energy. And then they had a parade on Sunday. Hey, John Jones says, new sub here. Well, thank you so much, John. The parade on Sunday was just electric. Just electric. Thank you, Margie. I'm watching and I appreciate you just swinging the hammer. There were so many good feelings. There was so much happiness. And it was all happiness around the queer community. So as I get immersed in this mood here, okay, the whole thing becomes infectious. I was feeling, but the longer that I was hanging around all of this energy, the better I felt, the happier I felt. And finally, at some point, I realized this fear that I had going into this, the fear that I created. Now, don't misunderstand. There were protesters, okay? I didn't see them, but I heard that some of them were kind of nasty. I don't know what happened. I did hear there was somebody who was like, "Oh yeah, don't even go near them." Of course, there is always a real threat of something turning ugly. Always, always. To my knowledge, nobody got hurt. Nothing bad happened. There were probably some hurt feelings, some ugly words that went out there. But nothing bad happened. Now, I'm not going to say that this means every place is safe, that every Pride Festival is going to be safe, but I made it worse than it needed to be. If something ugly, ultimately, if something ugly was going to happen, it really made no difference whether I was fearing it or not, because that wasn't going to be up to me. What was up to me is whether I allowed my fear to steal away the good time, to steal away that electric happiness. So let me look at here's a couple of comments. So yes, John, I do have a Ph.D. It's in analytical chemistry. Originally, I did molecular biology. So thank you, Margie, for calling me up. Awesome. So John, the topic right now, in fact, actually, what a great time to do station identification. I am Dr. Amethysta Herrick. Today I'm talking about my experience at the Atlanta Pride Festival this past weekend, which was really just beautiful. Just beautiful. So I wish I knew what this meant. Somebody named Juz. I wish I understood what that meant, but I don't. So anyway, I allowed my fear to make me steal away. Oh, really? I look like your horticulture teacher at UNC. So University of Northern Colorado, University of North Carolina. I'm curious. And for what it's worth, I actually had somebody once tell me you look like a professor of mine, and I was like, dang, really? So there had to be tens of thousands of people, easily. I don't even know. It had to be tens of thousands of people. I want to say that they anticipated somewhere around 100,000. I think I saw that on the website maybe, or maybe it was 100,000 last year. This one was going to be bigger. Tens of thousands of people. There was so much energy. I mean, this was over the weekend. And if we all allowed the fear to steal our lives just one festival at a time, pretty soon we're not going to have any happy times. We're just going to have to settle for dismal lives. I don't believe that's good. I don't believe that's a good idea. So the lesson learned here, actually, let me go to a couple of, I'll go to a couple of comments. So Frybird, no, I do not teach horticulture. I've never, never been there. Well, so, okay, so Fry is saying Atlanta's a really big queer city, LGBTQIA plus city. I had no idea. I mean, I lived there for whatever, 4 years. And I mean, admittedly, this was in the 90s, but I'm still like, wait, what? It just seemed really ugly compared to Southern California. I swear I'll get to it though, because there is part of the story in there. So May Renneberg asks, what is this? Well, I'm talking about the Atlanta Pride Festival that I went to just this past weekend, and I hope hope you'll stick around. I'm Amethysta Herrick, and I talk about identity and gender. So here we go. There we go. Let me see. So Victoria Conra says, it's so beautiful how large community events can help us to feel fearless. Yeah, I think that was the thing. I don't know that I felt fearless, but I certainly felt empowered. Oh, thank you, May. I'd love it if you subscribe. Thank you. Here, let me actually show this. It wasn't necessarily that I felt fearless, but I certainly felt so empowered, and it was just beautiful. It was just amazing. I absolutely loved it. I do. You can bring Dorothy Parker. There we go. You can bring a horticulture, but you can't make her think. Well, there you go. Malaveng says hi. Hi. Good to meet you, Malaveng. All right, here's my lesson. Oh, well, so hang on. So here we go. Frybird now says same with New Orleans. Now, New Orleans, even in the 90s, oh, Tina Purple Lover is here. Hi, Tina. Even in the 90s, New Orleans was a huge queer mecca, right? I mean, like everybody was like, oh, come to New Orleans. Well, anybody in New Orleans. Because like if you were in, Columbus, Georgia or something like that, they were probably like, you know what? Go to New Orleans. Yeah, we don't care. So, yes, super queer in New Orleans there. I agree. So let me see, the lesson that I learned here, and I do, I think this was a great lesson. It's a two-parter. First is that our fear is sometimes misplaced. I think it's important for all of us to be careful, right? But we don't want to give up. I'm looking at some kind of ugly comments in the chats. There's Emma. Hi, Emma. But don't give up. Be careful. This is why you have moderators, things like that. So that was the first bit. The second bit, and then this is a follow-on, feeling that overwhelming just aura of celebration, this energy of celebration was healing. It just cleaned up so much of my fear, so much of my pain. I won't kid you, I'm still worried about the world. Where are we going to go in the world? And I feel at least a little bit better about trying to keep moving. There were literally tens of thousands of people, maybe 100,000 people who know this situation that's going on, specifically in Georgia, and they were still celebrating. And I realize now I can be one of them. What a beautiful, beautiful lesson that I learned from just from being around all of these people. It was beautiful. All right, let me see what else do we have here. New Orleans. Morning wind. So you've never been more than a few hours in either city. Yeah, you should definitely go to, I'll tell you, I was surprised. Atlanta was pretty dang good. I have actually never been in New Orleans for all that long either, so who knows? Maybe Morning Wind, you and I can hang out with Frybird for a personal queer tour if we go to to New Orleans. Why not? Oh no, Emma says the stream's lagging. That's a bummer. Why is that? So Margie says the first Pride. Oh, your first Pride was in 22. Okay. I do. So it's funny. That's actually part of my next little bit here. So I'll get there. So May, I'm going to tell you. Well, actually, let me go through this. Let me go through what I was going to say here, because I think it addresses like a lot of what you're saying. Fry, hold your ears shut for like 10 seconds. Just to go back to like this goofy, pie in the face, pied for pride thing. There's a longer story around how all of that even started in the first place. But it all came out of this nasty email that I received from somebody who had been my friend for years. I had hired, I had fought for promotions and salaries, and I'm not going to get into it. The point is that I had never celebrated Pride before 2023. And I wrote an article about this. You can see it, it's June 1st, 2023. I wrote an article, and then I got this email like about 3 or 4 days later. I had never celebrated Pride because I didn't. So in this article, I say I don't feel it's right to feel proud of something that's just part of me. Like I was born in California, right? I can't be proud of being born in California. It just happened. I was born with blonde hair. I can't be proud of, because, I can't be proud of that. It just happened. It's just a thing. But I started caring about Pride in 2023 because I realized, yes, I'm a blonde, underneath it. Actually, I got a lot of gray now. I was already asked how old I was, so I started caring about. Leela is here. Hello, Leela. Hello, beautiful. Thank you, Leela. I started caring about Pride in 2023 because I realized the attacks, the level of the attacks that we in the queer community endure every single day. Every single day. This obviously, plays into the work that I do now, the articles I've written, the podcasts, the live streams here, helping people discover and then manifest identity and their gender, the hypnosis that I recently added, all of this, because we are always under attack. So going to this festival, ultimately going to this festival and feeling this healing power of the celebration, it proved to me that we're not finished. We're not beaten. There are attacks every single day. We continue to get these attacks. I don't even know. Here's somebody calling me a communist, calling me Marxist. I mean, if you had any idea, if you actually listened to me, as opposed to making an assumption based on color of my hair or the people that I find attractive, the way that I choose to be attractive, you would probably find out these are not things that describe me. This festival was a powerful reminder of just how many of us there are. I don't believe that everybody who was at this Pride Festival was queer. Like, no way. There were probably a significant percent that were allies. Not only are there a bajillion of us, I don't know about a bajillion, not only are there many of us, there is also, we also have a tremendous amount of support. And as Genevieve says right there, together we stand and divided, here we go. Together we stand, divided we fall. Very true. And I think that's important. I think that's important to remember. I do want to bring up, let me grab a couple of these. Here we go. So Margie says she only wishes her Pride solidarity was reciprocated rather than turned into attacks from within. That is an interesting point too. We have attacks from without, and we also have attacks from within. And, I was more concerned about the attacks from without at this point. But, in general, hate just doesn't work. I do have this other thing. So Yosk, hopefully I'm saying this right. Who knows? I like this. So Yosk says they are straight and left. And this year they had their first transgender person apply for a job, apparently, where they work. Hired her and don't regret it. right? Because how about that? Transgender people can be intelligent. They can be, hi Vesper. Transgender people can be intelligent. They can be articulate. They can be capable. I had a pretty successful career before I ended up retiring from technology after 25 years because I decided I would rather do this. I would rather talk about the transgender experience than continue making money, I guess. I don't know what got me going there, but what do we have that's not uncommon? Yes. So, Yosk, I agree. Thank you for your allyship so much. Essa called Snow. How do you tell your mom you're a lesbian? Gosh, I think that's a great question. I'm gonna say something that I'm gonna take a guess. Most people recognize that we have different energies. They recognize that we have a different energy in the queer community. Maybe that's what I want to say. And I think that if you went to your mother and you said, listen, I like women, your mom might end up going, I know. She might. I'll put it to you this way, and I'll call you Essa for a while now. So I grew up with three sisters, okay? And when I ended up, when I called my three sisters to tell them, listen, I am transgender, I am actually going to do this, I'm going to transition, all three of them gave me some version along the lines of, yeah, right, totally new. They were like, yes, I know. In fact, one of my sisters said, finally, like I've been waiting. When was it going to happen? So, okay, see, so May even confirmed. So there we go. So May says that when she went to her mother just went, well, yeah, a lot of people feel it. They feel it. And I think, Essa, I don't know what you've experienced, but I will tell you, like I got bullied a lot when I was a kid, up until I was pretty much an adult. And I think that's because some people, in fact, actually, I really kind of got bullied up until I retired from technology. So I'm going to let it go. Oh, May, thank you. He, they, my apology. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. I think that people recognize who we are and they respond to it. Sometimes favorably, sometimes not very favorably. I've got a message here from Vesper saying that her sister gave her the writing was on the wall. Right? A lot of people sense this. I think a lot of people sense this. So anyway, going to this festival reminded me we have a tremendous amount of support. I know it doesn't feel like it. I know what's happening in the world right now is horrific. I know that each of us faces hate and discrimination every single day. Sometimes from the people who claim they love us. Sometimes from the people who claim they support us. And that is why these celebrations are so fucking critical. It's why we have to have these things. The big lesson that I learned in 2023, just to bring this full circle, the big lesson I learned in 2023 is that pride is not about who we are. Pride is not about what we are. Pride ultimately is about staying who we are. By leaning into who we are in the face of everything that we see in this world. And I don't know that I've seen a more dramatic demonstration than this weekend to remind me, to teach me that pride is about acknowledging our struggle. It's recognizing how hard it is to be who we are, and that being proud means that we persevere. So anyway, that was lesson number 3. I got a little wrap up here, but it was really, I'm going to tell you, I have such gratitude for this experience, such gratitude. before I do this, I'm again I went another 20 minutes. So I am Dr. Amethysta Herrick. I am, I am a content creator and a podcaster. I talk about identity and gender. And today I'm talking about my experience at the Atlanta Pride Festival, which was kind of fun. So Leela says her wife Tegan is working on her Ph.D. And is getting pressure from her dissertation chair to publish. To publish the PhD or to publish articles. It's publication is, publishing is all you can do in education, in academia, unfortunately. If you mean publishing the dissertation, the best part is nobody reads a dissertation. I'm going to tell you, I don't know how many times I was doing research that it, would say, oh, such and such a dissertation. And I was like, oh, well, I have no reason to read that. Let me look in something that's, that's a peer-reviewed paper. Now, peer-reviewed journal articles, yeah, that's pretty spooky because you're putting something out in front of a lot of people. And that can be very scary. Oh, hey, the poet Miranda is here. Hi, Miranda. Okay, so publish a paper. Thank you, Leela. Also, Morning Wind, I don't know if you're still here, but I see, thank you so much for dropping by, says sending me a hug. That's very nice. Hi, sis. I love that. Miranda, we need to hang out again. All right, let me see. What do we got here? So Margie says she was welcomed into Rainbow Wellington and marched with them. After they read the right-wing hate media about her, they remained solid allies. Okay, let me actually pop that up. I think that's beautiful. I think real allies are allies. Real friends remain friends regardless of where we got it. It's, Essa, I hope you'll probably tell her tomorrow. It's 5 a.m. So, coming out day was last week. And I don't, I don't know if that has inspired you or something, but I will tell you, if you need, I don't know what I want to call it, like inspiration or moral support, there's the website down there on the bottom of the live there that says purplepawclan.com. Feel free to email me. I will be more than happy to talk to you more directly if you'd like, because I'd love to. Vesper's got a great point. Vesper says, coming out really opened her eyes on a lot of relationships. I thought, I'll tell you, there were a couple of relationships that I thought were going to fall apart. Two of them in particular. And one of them I thought was going to be strong as hell. The one that was strong as hell fell apart. There you go. The two that I wasn't so sure about have actually strengthened. The more that I express myself authentically, the more people have embraced me. And I think that's awesome. Hey, Matt. Matt Adland has shown up here. What do we got? So this is great. Angela always has beautiful stories too. So Angela says you'd be surprised whether your mother accepts you. This is great. Your mother was born in the 1920s and accepted you for being transgender. It's so crazy how that's really true. Some people, it's not about, it's not about people when I hear somebody who's laughing that I have pronouns. Okay. I mean, you have pronouns too. So I don't know why that's funny, whatever. It is, that is very vibe. Oh, Matt, thank you so much for all the gifts. Truly appreciate that. I'm a little, here we go. Just somebody named Karen, and I'm gonna read this just because it's Karen. I am above you all. I will pray for your sins because I really do believe you are not perfect like me, but you have potential. I'm wealthy and beautiful and perfect. I'm the greatest thing that I've ever seen. Give you a little Lords of Acid lyric for you there. I think Karen is all about that. Oh, May, look at this. May says, May says they went in a very, very rainbow outfit today, and you got a lot of compliments. Oh my gosh, you're in rural North Carolina. See, it blows my mind, right? I never, it's always the crazy thing. Like I was kind of afraid. Hang on. Let me just say this. I'm going to go ahead and here are the rest of my little notes here too. Here's the thing. Oh, let me go through some of these. Oh, I Am Alien says I'm very pretty. Well, thank you so much, I Am Alien. I am, I appreciate that being my age and somebody telling me that, so that's awesome. So let's see. Atlanta Pride Festival, I will tell you, was huge. It was just so huge. I left energized and hopeful. And May, here's part of where I was going to go with this. This is in very, very stark contrast to how I left Georgia after I finished graduate school in the 1990s. So it would have been 1998. When I was there in 1998, I hated it. I mean, I won't even mince words there. I hated it. It was representative of everything I felt was wrong in the world. Georgia proved to me, now this is coming from California, right? So I've grown up in big cities, but Georgia proved to me the world sucked. And all I needed to do to be happy was make a bunch of money and then build a big ass wall around me. I don't know if that sounds familiar from 2016. Leaving Georgia this time, I was sad. We were at the airport and I said, let me take a picture. And, we took a selfie and all three of us are like, oh, we're going home. Atlanta Pride Festival broke down those walls. It was like the end of it happened one night when they had a plastic bugle and the walls of Jericho came down. Atlanta Pride Festival broke down my walls. Atlanta Pride Festival showed me that there is good in the world and that good can be found anywhere. North Carolina, rural North Carolina, in Atlanta. These pride events, they continue to amaze me. I find new friends. I find new connections. These allow me to relax, to feel like I am, to feel like myself. I don't know how to better put that. They allow me to heal. They allow me to acknowledge that life is supposed to be about happiness. Life is not supposed to be about fear. Life is supposed to be about feeling this struggle and then pushing past it. Because that is absolutely what what Pride festivals are all about. So I'm just going to say this. Somebody else already said they're crying. Okay, there you go. Margie says she's crying. I hope I'm going to make it through this. Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Thank you, Atlanta Pride Festival. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, everybody who attended that festival. It restored my confidence in humanity. It was beautiful. I cannot believe how amazing that was. That is everything that I had to say about Atlanta Pride Festival. Sorry, I'm breaking up a little bit there. Somebody just asked me if I can yodel, and I think the thing is, after breaking up a little bit there, no, I don't think I'll be able to yodel. I'm not really sure what that's about. Let me see what else I have here. Oh, Fry. Okay, so Fry took off. Love you. Bye. So Vesper, oh, interesting. So Vesper, you say you had some questions at work. People noticed you came out on Facebook. Okay. Is this, gosh, you're meeting with HR on Thursday. Oh my goodness, this is going to be amazing. I will love to hear this story when you get the chance. Oh, Rachel. Hi, Rachel. I'm glad to see you here, Rachel. So Leela also brings up Tacoma. Pride used to be so great, but now they got a new organizer and now it feels commercial. There was a float that went by. So my kid and I were standing there in the parade, at the parade, and we hear this float go by. Madonna, they're blasting Madonna, blasting Vogue. which, was a huge gay anthem when I was, at that age. Maybe some of you are a bit younger. And anyway, point is, I'm like, wow, that's great. I'm like, come on, Vogue. I'm like, I don't remember I don't know. And then my kid goes, oh, no way. It's a T-Mobile float. And I was like, oh, God, you're right. It is there is a lot of commercial stuff that we just go, oh boy. And I don't know, should I be mad at that or should I go, great, I'm glad that somebody is still willing to have something about it, right? To do something about it. So, all right, let me see what else do we have here. So Jonas asks me, do I have a cat? I probably know where this is going, but yes, I do have a cat. Angela says, I have friends who belong to the Salvation Army, but they totally accept that you're trans. Yeah, I don't. So Angela says not all Christians are against transgender people. Totally agree, because I don't think Christianity is against transgender people. There are translations that come from the Hebrew and then the Greek that have been translated to make it seem that way. And there are definitely people, oh my gosh, Matt brings this up every so often where he says, what was it, Matt? Was it 2016? They started having comments. There was Jesus was just too woke for us. He's your prophet. What? So anyway, yes. And thank you so much. Anne says my hair is pretty. Thank you. I do enjoy the purple. Let me see. Oh my gosh, Margie, you dyed your hair, you bleached your hair. Wow. Zoinks. So Matt, this would have been great. I saw a few people doing the dad hug thing. It was, oh gosh, the whole thing was just so much energy. It was so beautiful. So beautiful. And yes, there is positive stuff happening. I'm going to tell you, and this is not a plug so much. Maybe it's a plug. Every Friday Friday or Saturday, the end of every week, I do a video called Transgender Joy. It's not always about transgender people. It's just general queer community. But I try to find 3 stories, not try to find. I will dig for a long time to find 3 stories that show that the world is not falling apart. That there is joy out there, and there is love out there, and there is support out there. So maybe that's something to check out. Yes, the commercialization of the queer community. I better hurry up. I think am I missing some of these? So yes, ESSO is really super fun at this Pride Festival. I hope you get a chance to go because it will restore your whole confidence in so much. Okay, what else do I have here? I'm sorry, I got behind on comments. This always happens. I start talking to myself more than anything, and then I get behind. Let me see. So Vesper, okay, very excited about it. Good, I'm glad people are open and accepting. I think that's beautiful. Holy cats. So Vesper now says she hopes that not all people are against not all Christians are against the transgender community because she works for a Catholic hospital. Yeah, I wish the best for you there. My goodness. Love to hear how that goes. So Leela brings up a great point that the problem with commercializing this is that it does get rid of some community organizations that were there before. There were only so many floats that could go into this parade, right? And so if you missed it, you were just kind of out of luck. And that's a bummer. So yes, there were times when something would go by and I'm like, woo, this is great. And then I go, wait a minute, what is this? Oh, it's for Cox Cable. Oh. I'm like, what do you care? Although the name you would kind of guess. I'm not going to say anything more. Rachel does ask, am I based in Atlanta? No, I'm not. At this point, I live in Colorado, although I grew up in Los Angeles. So, T-Mobile, not at all like T-Girls. And I don't know. Was the ballroom community miffed? I gotta imagine that brought up a lot of people, or brought a lot of people to go, gosh, I love those ballroom dresses. I should figure out if I can like do ballroom dancing. So I think that would have been sweet, personally. Although, for that matter, I'm not in the ballroom dance community, so what do I know? This is an interesting point. At this point in the administration where companies seem to be sucking up to him, left and right, seeing companies do that nowadays doesn't feel as forced like it used to be. Yeah, I remember, I mean, this was many years ago, but I remember seeing like a rainbow IBM, like, you know, the whole IBM logo. I remember seeing a rainbow IBM logo. And I was like, really? Really? So I think sometimes it's genuine, and then I think sometimes you go, oh, this is lip service. And then I think you're also seeing places like Target go, yeah, it was lip service. It was absolutely lip service, and what we're going to do is not do it any longer. So I don't know, maybe part of me, maybe you're right. Maybe now it is not forced, because if you do it, some people get pretty angry about it. So, let me see. Ooh, who is the him? Did I miss the wish I could have met him? Oh, late friend Sterling. Oh, there we go. Yes. Margie, you did mention that. Oh my goodness. So yes, May, I would love it if you want to submit your own stories. Like I love publishing other people's work, and if you want to put stuff on my website, but if you like reach out to me, yes, let's talk. And if you actually want to come and be on the live, I'd love that. I thought I was gonna have a guest, and she goes, no, I gotta work. I'm like, no. So I would love that. Yes, please. There was audibly laughed. Skiff Zakon. Where do I fall on the spectrum? Very obviously purple, right? And the violet. You know, you've got red, orange, green, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Clearly, I'm in the violet. Jeez. What do I have over here? Let me see. So Vesper says, corporate sponsors for Pride are so funny. In our town, the railroad is the biggest sponsor. That's pretty phenomenal. The railroad? Who's taking the railroad, I guess? I don't know. Who's using it? I mean, I guess cargo, but... and then Vesper says, most of the non-corporate railroad guys are red hats, from what I can tell. Oh, that would feel a bit awkward. Kind of, wouldn't it? So I don't know. What was the bit about Pose? Where did I just see that? Oh, here we go. So the effect of Madonna song was covered in Pose. I don't even, is this a TV show? How did clearly I missed this, but there you go. Margie, you're absolutely ultraviolet. I have the feeling, prolonged exposure may lead to burns. Which incidentally on Sunday, I have this black dress from Hot Topic, which part of me goes, I want to be embarrassed to own dresses from Hot Topic, but I'm not. I'm running with it. I remember buying stuff from Hot Topic literally 30 years ago, and the idea that I'm buying stuff from Hot Topic today, I'm just like, I mean, it was a couple of years ago, but anyway, black dress that has skulls. I'm trying to think. It's like skulls that have like roses in their teeth. Okay. And so I wore that on Sunday, and I'm thinking this will be fine because it's Atlanta. It's not like Colorado. Colorado, we're closer to the sun, right? There's less ozone. I'm not really sure. Anyway, the point is, you get sunburned really easily in Colorado. So I'm thinking no big deal. Anyway, I ended up with like this, square from my dress, and so that was pretty sweet. So I think actually, Margie, if I stick around you long enough, I will end up with that same kind of thing. I'll end up with like strap marks. I think because of your ultraviolet. May, thank you so much. I'm glad that you showed up. Thank you so much. I don't know if you're gone yet, but I absolutely adore that you showed up. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much, Margie. So, Pose was a drama series about ballroom, including heartbreaking material in the AIDS crisis. Okay, I'm going to tell you, I do not know a ton of the ballroom culture. So it's going to be I'm going to struggle to talk a little bit about this. I do know, yeah, that when you're talking about the AIDS crisis, that was a that was a rough time. Certainly a rough time. There was a It was an MTV, I think it was an MTV special, which you may already be going, really? But it was like an MTV special that, if I remember correctly, Jodie Watley, yeah, that was her name. Jodie Watley actually had done a bunch of research on this would have been, 80s, mid to late 80s, definitely, because I know I was in high school. Point I was going to go toward here is just that I remember there was Jodie Watley, actually, she goes on part of this documentary about AIDS, mid to late 80s, and she says we need to teach people that AIDS is not just a gay disease. And you would think if it's sexually transmitted, of course it's not. And it was really that point that I realized, oh my gosh, there are people who think this. They really, truly believe that you can only get this if you're gay. And I know we had a conversation, oh my gosh, I don't know exactly when, but I know we had a conversation at one point where we were talking about Angels in America. That's what it was called. Angels in America. I cannot remember who wrote this, but it was supposed to be about Cohn. Somebody Cohn. It's like a senator or somebody, I don't remember exactly, ended up getting AIDS. Sorry, conservative senator, if I remember. And anyway, it was kind of a bummer for his political career when he contracts AIDS, when there's this belief that it's only a gay disease. So anyway, it was Roy Cohn. Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. Skiff Sakon. You brought it right out. Yes, Roy Cohn. Angels in America. Who was that? I can't remember who that author was. My oldest sister gave me a copy of that book. And at the time, I'm like, what the hell is this? Why would you do this? And then it sort of struck me, oh, I think she knows something about me. Because I don't even know that I'd come out as pansexual at that point. But anyway, I did get a copy of that. Yeah, Roy Cohn. And that was the whole thing. Chantal Venter has shown up long enough and watched long enough and then commented that it sounds very boring. I suppose actually what I'll do then is apologize for wasting your time. See you later. Let me see. So Margie says her first Vogue ball was the AIDS 2022 ball. Okay. Oh, Montreal Pride. Okay. Wow. For the first time you felt like a hero for surviving. I think we all honor you for that, Margie. I knew people who did, I mean, obviously got HIV, and then, if it turned into full-blown AIDS, it was kind of a death sentence. And I'm so glad that you're still here and that we have a lot of survivors now. So, in fact, I'm going to pop this up. Thank you, Anne. That was a beautiful comment. Margie is a hero. What else do we have here? Pansexual. Oh, yeah. Transgender and pansexual. You know what's funny? when I was like 20. It was the mid 90s when I realized I'm pansexual. I only had the word bisexual at the time, but then I realized right after that I was like, oh, it's because I'm transgender. Again, didn't have the word, but the two seemed completely linked. That I like men and women because I am both women and men, woman and man. So it was kind of but I'm glad we have the unity. Apparently, you're pansexual as well. Wolf Boy One, I love it. Wolf Boy One, greetings from the UK. It's 2 a.m. for you now. 1 a.m. Thank you so much for showing up. Truly appreciate that. Part of me wants to. So somebody said womp womp, and I do love. Oh my gosh, Skiff, you are my absolute favorite. So PJ, hang on. PJ asks me, how insane do I think I am on a scale of 1/10? On a scale of 1/10, I I guess I'm a little unsure. That's as an analytical chemist, I've got a problem with scales that are fractional like that. I don't mind contiguous values from 1 to 10, but 1/10, I've got to tell you, between 1/10 and what? Is it just everybody's 1/10? I don't know. But Skiff, that's it exactly. Angels in America. I could have sworn there was a K in that, but I see I guess there's not. Two-part play by American playwright Tony Kushner, and I don't remember what else Tony Kushner did, but I believe that particular play got a lot of awards because it was very well done. I struggled with it when I was younger, but I think we all kind of struggle once we're figuring out, who we are. And I don't think I didn't want to own it at that point. I really didn't. Because I kind of think I got that when I was still in undergrad. I don't think I was even in grad school. And I think I read it and I was kind of like, why give that to me? That ain't me. So thank you, Skiff. Thank you for pulling that out of the history books. I do love this. I love it when Margie says stuff. The favorite thing about being transgender, no matter with whom you have sex, in some way it's going to be gay. I think that's fun. So, you just plagiarized Wikipedia. Hey, you pulled it out of the history book, Skiff. I loved it. So Anne, I see Anne is gender fluid. I don't know if I've used what pronouns I've used for you. I will use they them. So thank you for telling me that. I was gonna reach out to Minnie, Matt. It just struck me. Dang. Well, here, look. Vesper just gave me a beautiful comment here. So Vesper says I don't seem too insane to her, and Vesper is a therapist. So I don't know who that was that asked how far I was or where I was on a scale, but there you go. I am really, ooh gosh, hang on, I really want to use this phrase. Not gender fluid, not exactly gender fluid, but not really frozen either. Gender slushy. Oh, Pippa Lupus is here. Oh, and Pip also asks, needs info on that hair color. All right, so I mean, I'll touch up my hair, but I do not do the bleach. So I have a stylist who does the bleach on it, and then it's a Joico color, really boringly called light purple. That's it, but it's Joico, Joico. Unfortunately, it is a salon. It's only salon. You can only get it, if you have like a cosmetology license and Amazon. But anyway, it is a great color. And it fades really nicely too. It'll fade into like almost blue streaks. So when it fades, it does look better. It does still look good. It looks better than other purple dyes that I've had. So there you go. Let me see. So Anne, oh thank you, Anne. All pronouns are good. I think this is a good question. If someone uses they, them pronouns, should we use the singular or the plural for the verb? Given that I'm kind of a grammar nerd, like grammar is kind of a hobby for me. I struggled really badly with the they them pronouns to begin with. Once I started meeting non-binary people, I'm like, ugh, really? Can we just? Now I'm using actually plural, the plural verbs. So primarily because I do appreciate, subject verb agreement, if nothing else. But I also like that because it kind of honors the idea that that it isn't necessarily like one or the other. And Garden Arts actually asks an important question here, which, by the way, Pippa Lupus, thank you for saying it looks amazing. My hair looks amazing. So Garden Arts asks, isn't it both plural and singular? Yes, right? So we can use it as both plural and singular, or, if you are non-binary, or if you're just gender neutral, right? Like there are a lot of times that I have used they, them when I just don't even know a pronoun. In fact, when I'm reading comments, oftentimes they'll say they said this. So in my opinion, like I always end up using the plural for the verb. And I do that because I think it honors that it is not, that it is a more complicated, I had to decide between complex and complicated, and I had to think about, where does it begin? It is a more complicated identity than most of the rest of English recognizes. One of the things I wish we could do, personally, is get rid of gendered pronouns. I also have to cough. Hang on. There we go. All done. I love this. Skiff even asks, do different people prefer one number over the other? So Garden Arts is saying the context matters. I have now started hearing, so now people will give, and actually Anne would be great. Maybe Anne will be another good, maybe Anne will be a great resource for this. No, I'm sorry, it was May who had he, they pronouns. Now I'm seeing people say, so they'll give they and then slash and then another one that like if you can't pull it out to say they, then you can use the other one. It's just less preferred. So I kind of like that. I kind of like even doing that too, because I would be probably okay by if somebody used they all the time. I do. Where did I just see it? Came from Anne. Oh, here we go. And I did a live stream. This was, months ago. I don't remember when, but I did a live stream quite a while ago that you can still find video on demand. But so Anne says some languages don't have gendered pronouns. It's not Icelandic. Most languages that are Finnish have either Finnish or Ugrian bases are non-gendered. They don't have gender pronouns. So Hungarian is one of them. I know this actually because my wife is her parents are from Hungary, and her mother continues to struggle because she's like, I never had gendered pronouns. So anyway, so yes, that has no gendered pronouns. There are a few languages. Certainly the Finno-Ugrian ones don't. And actually, now that Anita is here, I think Anita's got a bunch more language stuff. Hi, by the way, Anita. So in Maori, everyone is they. See, I think that'd be great. I'd love to see that. But I think I hear this. Yeah. So Skiff then says it would sound kind of bizarre to say them and then use a singular verb. And it feels bizarre to refer to a single person by a plural. But see, the thing is that we like, what's a he then? Is a he necessarily a singular? these are words, right? And we give these words in part through context, as Garden Arts mentioned. And I'm going to get to all of your excellent questions, Garden Arts, I swear. So we give these value because, I mean, people will say, look, we've seen this in Shakespeare's work from, the 1600s. That I think there was something else before. It's not like they them necessarily has to mean anything more than the meaning that we want to give it, because we make words for concepts, not the other way around. The concepts do not derive words. It's words that we use to label concepts. So yeah, here we go. So Margie says Anita's our pet linguist, right? There was something else that I saw there that I wanted to bring up. Oh, here we go. Sorry, it was Angela's. Yeah. So as a trans woman, Angela has never had a sexual relationship until she transitioned. That met my straight man, Andy, who totally accepted me as a woman. I think that's awesome. And he knew you before bottom surgery. That's phenomenal. All right. My apologies, Garden Arts. I was actually going to go to you next. So Garden Arts says they consolidated. See? They consolidated the struggle in my head by thinking about how we use it to refer to people whose gender we aren't aware of. And I think that's a great way of putting it. So I don't know, Garden Arts seems non-gendered, right? Like, I don't think it's not necessarily, wow, Tyler Kane is here. Hi, Tyler. I'm emailing with this person. It's pretty great. I want a better name. Anyway, so Garden Arts says, consolidated the struggle by thinking about how we use it to refer to people whose gender we aren't aware of, when a person isn't identifiable. On the news and media, they say they, them when they don't have identifying traits to say it for certain. I think that's exactly it. And so I think that's a great way of putting it. And thank you so much for that, Garden Arts. I like Vesper. So Vesper says, I like Vesper. I meant Vesper's comment, but I like you too, Vesper. Says she's torn on the idea. I think gender is made up, but also I rather like she, her. I think and then Matt says, just because it's made up doesn't mean we can't like it. Agreed. I think that we struggle so much with language. We struggle so much with language, not because language itself is difficult, but because we're trying to satisfy social norms. I don't know if it's really worthwhile caring about some of these social norms. So in any event, I'm going to agree, because obviously, look, I'm leaning into the feminine, right? Obviously, I'm leaning into the feminine. I don't consider myself gender slushy or gender fluid. I have not quite reached gender plasma. I feel I am pretty frozen. I prefer she, her pronouns. I lean into the feminine, and at the same time, when somebody has referred to me as they, like, I'm fine with that. Because really, at the end of it, this is a label that, so long as people recognize me as feminine, I don't know that I care. Where with some other things? Okay, so Anita says, for non-native speakers, yeah, English pronouns can be a struggle because he and she sound very similar. Yeah. I mean, I wish we had, because like in Spanish, right, you've got él and ella. Like, that's pretty different, trying to think of other languages now, but it's a struggle for a lot of reasons too. Some languages don't have a whole lot of, don't need to have a correlation between like a singular or plural subject and then singular or plural verb. So here we go. I like this. Anne says, I think we need to create sort of a linguistic space in our minds. Yeah. I know that so much of our world, particularly today, we're trying to make politics, we're trying to develop politics on the basis of language. And it's like, you don't, we have political philosophy. There should be political philosophy that exists separate from language, because it makes no difference really if what people you have, if you're trying to define politics, so relationships between people, the genders shouldn't make a difference here. And so I think you make a great point, Dan. I mean, when we're trying to ultimately to like make executive orders to define government policies based on like a language, a feature of a language that could absolutely be changed tomorrow just because we feel like it, I think it's ridiculous. And I know that that's a whole lot of what gender politics are right now. There was a point I was going to make, and I forget what it was. So yeah, Margie says, so Shakespeare did use it. But then there was, yeah, here we go. So Skiff also says, yeah, you can be both singular and plural. So they historically does typically take plural. There were neopronouns, and Margie brings up neopronouns, I think I saw in French. Yeah, here we go, in French. And there were neopronouns that were introduced in the 1970s. No joke. Like, imagine if 50 years ago, when I was growing up, we had said, you know what, let's do away with this he, she. Can we use, Z and, what were they, Z and, now of course, I'm forgetting one. Z and Zir. Yeah, so they were all, right, Z, Zir. How different today would the world be? It would be very, very different. Because we wouldn't be caring about stupid language features when we're trying to make politics. So let me see. Let me go back over here. So Vesper says, generally she identifies as a binary trans woman. She has non-binary and gender apathetic friends. Gender apathy. I love that. The idea of gender apathetic. So Garden Art says, I think gender as a social concept is made up, but gender identity is not. Agreed. Just like how we give a made-up value to the dollar, but we don't deny that things have value. Garden Arts, I love this point. I've written rather voluminously on identity and developed ultimately my own theories, both of identity and gender. And I agree with you. When we think of gender, when we want to use gender, we're pretending like there is some kind of there's some sort of a solid basis for gender roles. And Judith Butler 30 years ago wrote a whole book about how they shift. Now that ended up turning into, you'll hear people say today, well, gender is a social construct, which wasn't entirely what Butler said, but I guess we'll run with that. But you're right. I think that these gender roles, these norms that we try to use as concretes, when they are norms, which means a majority of people in the social environment would consider it normal. What does that mean? But they're not concretes. They're not like something that you can touch and feel and everything. But I do believe that gender as a form of expression is absolutely concrete. We have our physical presentation. We have our cognitive aspects of what we think about. We have our behavior, and our behavior is obviously influenced by our social environment, what we think about ourselves, how we present. And so there you go. All of this together, it is complicated. In fact, I call it is a complex, right? It's a set of interrelated aspects. And anyway, there was my whole identity theory in a nutshell. But the issue comes with trying to define parameters for them. Agreed. And I think the thing is, I think where I want to go with this is to say I don't know that defining those parameters adds value. specifically politically, because now I'm seeing people who are dropping something like God made man and woman. Okay, what did that do? I mean, look at your handle there, by the way. What did that do? Like, is that going to change something about our politics? Going to change something about the laws? I don't believe it makes any sense. So let me try to jump through some of this. Tyler asks a good question. And I'm going to pop it up. I don't know if you got dumped, but if it doesn't make a difference, then why change it? What doesn't make a difference, Tyler, assuming you're still here, and I don't know if you are, but if you are, what doesn't make a difference is giving it a label. But I will guarantee, Tyler, that you have things that define you. I don't know, let's say you like to go to the gym, and then you grunt a lot as you're doing bench presses or something like this, okay? If somebody said, well, it's very feminine to grunt, maybe that would bug you. It only makes a difference that we need to label them. What doesn't make a difference is that we express ourselves in the way that we do. We express ourselves in ways that we feel comfortable. And so why change it? Because I grew up believing that I had to conform to social norms. And I don't. So that makes a huge difference. Here we go. What else do we have here? Polish has obligatory gendering. Wow. So no one here today says it's hard to read the chat. I'm sorry. I have a shotgun. Says hi. Okay, that spooked me a little bit. So true. Anne brings up an exceptional point. Thou went away, which was a more. So here we go. So I thought it was the other direction. That thou was not a familiar. Was the opposite. That you was more familiar and thou was more respectful, like a tu or an usted. Like usted would be like thou, but yeah. And here we go. Actually, Tyler, if this made any, if you're still listening, the binary trans people internalize the socially constructed genders early, and so that's why it's important to change them. But it's important not to, I guess, internalize those genders. That's what I think. Where do we go? Oh, there's a bunch of things going. Yeah, trolls are really working today, aren't they? But what do we got? To be clear, oh my gosh, this turned into a linguistics thing. To be clear, I'm just going to pop this up. To be clear, I'm speaking strictly about how we conjugate a verb to achieve subject-verb agreement in the case where they means a single person versus, so for example, they is versus they are. And yeah, see, but I think all of this, in the last, 10 minutes, however far back we've been going on here, all of this really underscores that gender is not part of language. Because like I said, I've got a whole, I have a whole live stream about, the why pronouns are important. And it's because they're not scientific. Because we can see there are languages that don't have it. We also know that if you look at the molecular biology, the genetics of the whole issue, right, we only define sex in one way in biology, and so for what it's worth, God made man and woman. Apparently God probably also made genetics, but you're not going to listen to me about that, so I don't know. I feel like I had someplace I was going to go with that, but I didn't. So thou was familiar. Okay, that's interesting, because that's all over the King James Bible, which seems like it would all be a bunch of whatever. I don't know. I wish I could Shamon, maybe? Shamon he. Do you know, that really sounds, it sounds like and forgive me if this sounds jerky. That's like something like Michael Jackson, is Michael Jackson lyric. Shamon he. Maybe not. Hello from Colorado. I am doing well, and I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for coming and dropping a comment in there. I truly appreciate it. Oh my gosh. I absolutely adore this. Look at this. Matt says he should let he should let Margie handle muting the trolls because it's gender discongruent to get put in their place by a woman. I just want to sit with that for a moment. I truly adore that. Oh, I hope that bugs them. I hope it bugs them so much. So Garden Arts has now said too, they would use, they would use a singular they in the same way they'd use a plural they. Yeah, I mean, that ultimately is where I'm coming from, is that use the plural because, again, I think it acknowledges that the identity is more complicated than somebody ultimately like me who is comfortable with something binary. So, I'm willing to admit that maybe my identity is less complicated than somebody who goes with a, they them pronouns. So, I see the comment on YT. I also hit 30 and had to be true to be me. Yeah, I had to. Right. There you go. Vesper says that she hit 30, had to be true to herself. So totally true. And I think that's important. That's our whole point. Tyler says, hi. Glad I could make the stream. I'm so glad to see you. That really just made my whole evening. It's funny, too, because I was like, oh, I absolutely got to play that game today. And now here we are at 6:30. I'm still not playing the game. What do we got here? Let me see. So Skiff, so I like this. So let me be more clear on this. So Skiff says that they don't agree gender is definitely a part of language. Linguistic gender sometimes relates to sex and gender, but not always. I think I'm talking about the second half of that. That sex and gender, these are scientific terms. Languages are used, but these are concepts. Sorry, I'm making a mental leap here. Sex and gender are scientific concepts. These are things that we can define by observing the universe. So we can have concepts that represent concepts. Now, these are not labeled necessarily. These are concepts. These are observations, groups of observations that we can turn into a generalized concept intellectually. And then we end up putting a word on top of it. That is a label that goes onto the concept. I mean, now I'm ending up talking about epistemology and having kind of a fun time with it. But gender is built into languages, but what I'm saying is I hit my drawer there. Luckily, I didn't hit myself in the drawers. Gender is a part of language, but what I'm saying is I don't think it has to be a part of language, because we can see that in, like you have said, languages that have more than 3 genders, languages that have no genders. If it were related necessarily to the scientific concepts, I would say that there would be consistency. So that was my point. Forgive me for going off on that whole thing. I'm already going back. Oh, look, Emma's back. Oh, your Wi-Fi is working again. Good. I love you, Matt. You're so awesome. Let me see. What do we got? Because I saw something good. Vesper, I think. Okay, so here we go. Garden Arts, I love this point. When it comes down to it, addressing people with their preferred pronouns is about respecting people and their humanity, which includes their identity, external and internal. Perfect. And that ultimately, so you've basically boiled, I think, an hour of my live stream that I did long ago down to, whatever it is, to 280 characters probably. So I appreciate that. Ultimately, I think pronouns are not necessarily related to the reality of who we are. And the reality is our identity, external and internal. So perfect. Thank you, Garden Arts. That was absolutely 100%. I'm in agreement with that. What else do we have? Oh my gosh, now you're pulling out the Latin? Oh boy. Oh, you've got the banana in your ear thing too. So I'm going to pop up Anne's comment. Yeah, I think so. Pronouns become internalized. Our pronouns do become internalized. The thing that I, the thing is those are really social norms. Because I mean, we've seen our language evolve. Our brains do get used to it because we get used to other social norms. I have a good friend. I actually there she they sorry just published a podcast that I appeared on where I talked about Hellraiser. By the way, that was a great conversation. It's a ton of fun. Anyway, their name is Aisha Woodward, and Aisha has a shaved head. And in, social norms, we go, oh, well, that's a man, right? That's got to be a man. But Aisha also wears elaborate makeup, like beautiful makeup, like really, truly stunning gothic. Like they came on the screen and I was like, oh my God, I'm such a, such a noob with makeup, because I was doing that 20 years, 30 years ago. But anyway, we do get these internalized. And I think that's what's so great about somebody like Aisha, because somebody will look at them and go, I don't know. Shaved head, elaborate makeup. Who is this? Anyway, they do get internalized. And that's what I believe it would be worthwhile trying to combat. I am seeing a lot of Latin. And I'm just going to go, I can't hear you. I have a banana stuck in my ear. Te audiere non possum musa sapientem fixa est in aure. Oh boy. Oh, here we go. There's all kinds of, when there's a louse at the ear, grab it, squeeze it till it's done with. Right? The overlap of Latin and Monty Python is pure enlightenment, yes. Oh gosh. King Blobfish says I should follow Jesus. Where's Jesus going? Does he need somebody like, to help out? Does he need wing, like somebody to ride shotgun or something? What does he need? Also people also say over and over and over again, well, Jesus saves. Why do I have to keep on giving money to the church then? Because for crap's sake, with the interest over the past 2,000 years, if Jesus has been saving compound interest, guy ought to have a pretty good nest egg by now, Anyway, all right, let me run. I do see something, Emma99. Give me one sec. So yes, about respect. It costs, this was it. So here we go. So, Tyler Garden Art says it costs nothing to be respectful, right? Costs nothing. How hard is that? Where was this? Oh, hi, Morgan. I'm glad to see Morgan's here. Hi. Oh my gosh. Now you're throwing in Latin. Oh boy. All right, let me see. Emma, here we go. So Emma asks a really good question. Excuse me there, sorry. And I still coughed. Emma says, hey, can you please tell me how to ask people what their pronouns are without being mean? Matt says, just ask. That's all I do. I mean, I think that what I like to do, and I think this helps, is actually give mine first. So Margie even says that. So Margie says, nice to meet you. My pronouns are she, they. What about yours? And I tend to do that. I'll say my name is Amethysta. I use she, her pronouns. What are your pronouns? How would you like me to refer to you? Because the thing is, here's the thing too. We will always, if you meet somebody, the person goes, hi, my name is Michelle. You don't go, okay, I'm going to call you Tony. Like if somebody, but you'll ask the person. You just walk up to them and go, hey, Tony, how you doing? And then if the person goes, no, I'm sorry, my name's Michelle, you're not going to go, I don't think so. Tony seems scientifically accurate. I'm going to call you Tony. People will be offended with that. So here's the point. It's the same kind of thing. If you go, what's your name? And you go, I'm not going to call you Tony. What's your name? what are your pronouns is the exact same thing. I am trying to be respectful. What is your name? What are your pronouns? You can't say ASL anymore either. I don't know if anybody remembers what that might mean. But Emma, hopefully that answered the question. You got a whole lot of answers on that. So, here's the thing. Jesus saves and you can too. At Bible Factory Outlet. Come on down, bring the kids. We got all kinds of snakes and lizards for them to play with. That was a Beetlejuice quote, I think. Garden Art says Jesus is going for a walk on the beach, and I'm down. There's a good selection of rocks to use on Jesus, or just you're a rock hound. I'm going to assume you're a rock hound. Let's do that. Let's assume so. Hello, Reasonable. Reasonable says hi. Am I missing something? Please bust my balls. I can't get an orky otherwise. Oh boy. Let me see. Oh shoot. I just gotta pop that up. I hate to break it to you. So Matt Adlin says, I hate to break it to you, but an orky won't change the fact that it takes enormous balls to even exist as a trans person these days. So true. Holy cow. Whoa, wait a minute. I am looking at Indie Kitty. Hi. I didn't know you were here. Wow, I was thinking about you like just the other day. If this is the Indie Kitty I'm thinking about, who is a nurse, and I was thinking about you just the other day. Wow. I like this. Yeah. Michelle, Tony, Richmond, Annabelle. What the hell difference does it make? You're not going to say that to somebody, right? They're going to be, no. Michelle. Call me Michelle. Nobody's going to do that. Oh, Eva, thank you so much. Eva says, I'm so pretty. Hi, Eva. Thank you. I truly appreciated it. I truly appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right. Well, Shorty K has a question. Let's hear it. Let's hear your question, Shorty K. Okay, I don't see it. Here we go. Yes, Eva, your name is Eva, as I can see. Very good. So Emma then asks the questions, what am I supposed to do if I got called Emma by somebody who I didn't tell that I wanted to be called that? That's a really good question. Kate Beckett, I'm actually going to get to you. If you go ahead and leave the, I don't know if that just went away. But Kate, if you're still there, hold on. Because I think it's a good question. I did not choose, ultimately. I did not choose the name Amethysta. I sort of did. But somebody else ended up assigning it to me, I think is how I want to put it. She's a very powerful and wise woman. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. And basically what I did was go, you know what? You must know. So if somebody calls you Emma and you go, dang, how'd they know? Sometimes people are wiser than we are. How about if I leave it at that? Thank you. Oops. There we go. Thank you, Angela. Great point. If someone makes a mistake with pronouns, as long as they're not doing it unkindly, yeah. I think if it's a mistake, if they apologize, if they recognize, I think it's a big point. Sometimes it does happen. It certainly happened a lot. When I first started transition, it happens less. I'm trying to think of the last time I was misgendered, but you correct them, and some people go, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Then you move on. Let's see. Okay, so Indie Kitty, okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But they say they work for the government, so you have to follow Trump's executive order. All right, I'm going to bring this up. And Shorty, I saw that you posted something. Forgive me, I'm a little behind on comments. So Kate Beckinsale here. Kate Beckett asks, why do so many trans people always play the victim card with everything in their lives? Matt gave her a little bit of a talking to say it's the same reason you're playing the victim. Here's the thing. It's really easy to play the victim card in general. It's really easy. And I think it's very easy, especially, in Western society, for everybody to play a victim card. I got a comment on a video that said conservative people are now really being discriminated against. Forgive me, I'm formulating an argument in my head as I'm trying to talk, and it's clearly not working. But I got a comment that said conservative people are really being discriminated against. And I thought, well, is that not playing a victim card? I mean, the thing is, really what we should learn to do is to just sort of get along, right? What we could do is, rather than trying to blame each other so that sometimes at some point somebody else goes, gosh, I feel I'm always being blamed, which is to say playing a victim card, I think it would be great if we could learn to get along together. So there you go. So why do transgender people do? And I'm going to go with Matt. It's the same reason that everybody else does, because what we want to do is point fingers at somebody else. It's really easy to point a finger at somebody else than to go, what am I thinking? Right? Didn't Michael Jackson have a song about this? I just saw myself in the video there do this funky thing with my... So I have to do it again. Eva, do I know what cat's eye is? Heck yeah, Gabriella. Do you know, saw that, I was just scrolling through and I saw that one dance. Oh, shoot. What was that Pussycat Dolls song that they did? I can't think of what it was. But I saw that and it was just like, oh, these people are amazing. Anyway, I am starting to love cat's eye. So Shorty K, we'll see here. I hope I'm not being disrespectful. I love the trans community and I have huge respect for everyone. Only thing I want to know is Los Zetas or CJNG. I wish I could answer that. I'm so sorry. Maybe I'm too old. I'm sorry. I wish I could answer that. I'm not even going to take a guess. My apologies. Let me see. I never know how to feel about the people. Oh gosh, I got way behind on comments. I'm going to move a little bit. Sure, Jesus used pronouns. So in a way, it's an interesting point. Jesus did use pronouns. Jesus would have used pronouns in Aramaic. Those stories, by the way, I'm seeing Lady K. Hi, Lady K. Those stories would have been spoken in Aramaic. They were then written down about 100 years later in Greek, rewritten in the 5th century, or 4th century, when Christianity, all the sects of Christianity were pulled together, and then translated into English here. So you're trying to make a point based on at least 4 generations worth of languages here. Pronouns are not based in religion. Pronouns are not based in science. There you go. I identify as a toaster. I'm glad for you. You know what? I hope that works for you. I'm going to run with that. Love the hair. Thank you. So do I. Eva, thank you so much. Ava, maybe Ava. You identify as a mute now. I identify as a pickle. I mean, here's the thing. I think people want to say things like, I identify as a pickle, and say, see, this is how stupid it is. Well, here's the point. I think I went through I started going through my theory of identity, which includes physical, cognitive, behavioral, and social. Right, I already said this. So now TX2 lays lover. So transceiver lover 2225 asks, what do? I talk about identity. If you have these 4 aspects, you have physical, cognitive, behavioral, and social, you can identify as what you want. Then because that's the cognitive part. if you want to start bringing this in as part of the behavioral part, then you can do that. You can start behaving like a pickle, and you can see what your social environment does. How well are you accepted as a pickle? Do you get accepted as a pickle? Because somebody might look at you and go, well, I'm looking at your physicality and what you look like is a human. So you might struggle to identify as a pickle, but at the end of it, do I give a crap? No. And I think you're trying to do this to say, see how dumb this is. You identify as a woman, I identify as a pickle. Well, here's the thing. My physicality, at least in terms of social norms, matches a lot of social norms, at least where I grew up, as a woman would. Cognitively, I have always thought and emoted in ways that women do. Behaviorally now, maybe you'll notice my voice sounds feminine. The way I walk, there's a lot of things that are very feminine. And finally, socially, as it turns out, I tend to go places and get treated like a woman. So didn't that work? Maybe I'll just hide that now. I think I'm all done. You know what? I'm actually going to kind of like this. Carson Bonner says, normally I would not be very nice, but I see humanity in you and just want to say Jesus loves you. Here's the thing, Carson. It is not just want to say. That was huge, and I don't know if you're still here. This was a comment you left 5 minutes ago. Thank you. If you see humanity in me, that's the best that we could absolutely hope for. All right, I'm going to jump forward some because I see a whole lot. Michael Britt, I think I've missed. My life's goal has come to peace. Here we go. My life's goal has been to come to peace with myself without the aid of modern anything. I would love that. I absolutely would love that. Wouldn't that be great? It would be so great. Yes, I've seen Matt's lyrics, by the way, for the Battle Hymbo of the Republic. All right, let me try to jump down some. I think Morgan makes an excellent point here. So Morgan says she hates sometimes when she wants to play the victim card, but it's her own negativity that's bringing her down or making her feel false. Yeah. I do appreciate that Margie now asks, is it playing a victim card when you are objectively victimized? We can, I don't know, I'm trying to remember who it was. It might be in the one of the Vedas, that pain is inevitable, but suffering is not. We end up choosing suffering, and to a certain extent, we choose our response to victimization. I'm not going to say that that's always true because it's very difficult to claim that when there are, well, Margie's story. I think maybe I'll just drop that. And I think, as Morgan says, both at the same time are possible. Yeah. All right. Let me. RFK Jr. is definitely a pickle. I think so. Morgan, I agree with you. And a lot of what I was talking about from with the Atlanta Pride Festival, yeah, what loving on others and self-care can start to heal. I think that was when I went to this Pride Festival. Oh my gosh, it was so huge. It was so huge. It did a lot of good for me. I'm going to throw this up here. Emma says, hey, if you could read this one, that would be awesome. So we'll do it. All right. So Emma says they have trouble with gender dysphoria. And if anyone else wants tips, I have the first letter of my pride name and it's on a necklace. That helps. I'm with you. Because I've been asked, somebody says, well, how do I manage gender dysphoria? And that's a very, very hard question. It depends on what would help. What I've done before, like what I did like 2022, so prior to me actually slapping on an estrogen patch and going off to the races, whatever that means, I painted my toenails. And I work from home. So I've worked from home since like 2014, even when I was in technology, developing or as a manager. And being able to be in like a crummy, I'm in a meeting with like C-level type people, and they've got the whole toxic masculinity thing going on, right? Everybody's got to be an alpha male in technology. I could sort of sit back and glance at my toes and go, whew, at least I know who I am. They don't, but I do. So thank you, Emma. Having a necklace, things like that. Yeah, I think that makes a huge amount of sense. It helps a lot. All right, let me see. Did I miss something? My assumption would be correct, though the first suggestion made you cackle. That was Garden Arts talking about Jesus walking on a beach with Jesus when there were rocks. Okay, so Jennifer Sweeney says when people who are in marginalized communities say how hard life is for them, a lot of people who are not in marginalized communities call that playing the victim card. Jennifer, I just want to say thank you so much for that. I'm going to give you the heart. I'm going to give you a little heart here because I think that's a huge point. Oftentimes we want to call people, we want to other people in some way because we don't understand them. And I think this is an excellent point from Jennifer that says we're going to call it playing the victim card, but it's largely because we don't know what it means like to be victimized like they are. So thank you. And Morgan, hopefully that helps a little bit as well, because that's beautiful. So Jennifer, I don't think I've seen you before, but thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that point. Yes. Shoot, where was it, Morgan? So here we go. It's good to talk about, really all of us, to talk about our experiences, because it makes us more human. It makes us more human to others, and it shows our struggles. Right. I mean, I think that's exactly partly what Jennifer is saying, and that's why I think it's important for us to do these lives, to do, AMAs, whatever. Because what it does is show that we are people. Right now, for what it's worth, what I am now is like a political football. That's about it. I've got people in Congress who are talking about me without knowing who the hell I am. Here's somebody called the one and only Nicole who's talking about me without knowing at all who I am. Okay, I don't know how you happen to have this knowledge about me. But, great. You have just othered me. Here we go. Clayton Stewart, you're saying no hate at all. So Margie agrees. Pushing the envelope. And this is a good point, though. So what about accepting that it could be mental illness? I was R-worded as a child, and I'm sure it didn't help. What about accepting it? I believe that it's very easy. To consider everything a pathology. It turns out, like, and I don't know, Clayton, if you've studied any evolutionary psychology or evolutionary psychiatry, there is evidence that many things that we've put in the DSM, so the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, even version 5 now with the text revision, yada yada. There are many conditions in the DSM that we consider evolutionarily advantageous. That is to say, things like anxiety in particular was one of them. Anxiety, fear, depression, dissociation. These have been seen as evolutionarily advantageous, which means it helped us today get here. Today. So I think there is a problem with accepting that everything is some kind of a mental illness. I also want to point out the DSM also classifies a mental disorder not as a the conditions that are in the books, but when those conditions become cause dysfunction, meaning that you are unable to function normally. Alcohol abuse is in the DSM, and I know a shit ton of people, having some Irish background and German background, I know a shit ton of people who have been functional alcoholics. We could say, well, that's just a mental illness. No, they're functional. Ultimately, if they're functional, this is not a mental disorder, at least as classified by the DSM now. So yeah, I think there is a problem with accepting that this can be a mental illness. Here's the other thing too. I guess you just put it like this. When I was 52, by the time I transitioned, when I was 52, I was, oh, are you leaving, Anne? If you are, thank you so much. I truly appreciated all of your comments. Oh my gosh, see, perfect. Vesper, who is a therapist, by the way, stress kept us alive at some point. So true. Vesper says everything in the DSM is a part of the human experience. Yeah. And when we start to pathologize the human experience, I got a whole article about the idea of pathologizing the human experience. When we do, then medicine becomes, well, we just need to fix something. And so your idea, if we accept that something is a mental illness, it needs to be fixed. And I guess if we're going to go down that road, what does fixing it mean? Does fixing it mean beating me on the head with a mallet until I stop saying, okay, I'm willing to feel good presenting as a man? No. Fixing it should be, give me some estrogen. Let me present myself in a way that's going to make me feel right. So, and I agree with you. You were R-worded as a child, and I'm sure it didn't help. Betcha. I mean, wow, I almost turned like Gen Alpha on there, or Gen Z, right? With Bet. I could have just gone with Bet. Yeah, I bet you it didn't help. Anyway, that turned into a little bit longer. Hopefully you liked that. Clayton, I got to go with what Vesper says. Everything in the DSM is actually a part of the human experience. Otherwise, we wouldn't have it in the DSM. So, so here's the point. And I do actually want to bring this up because, oh gosh, it's about time for me to stop. Angela brings up that for her to get bottom surgery in the UK, you have to have a psychiatrist confirm that you are sane and truly a transgender woman. There's an interesting point. I appreciate this, Angela. So you're saying a psychiatrist has to qualify you as sane. What's interesting is that ultimately, in order for us to get this kind of treatment, we have to accept that there is a pathology. Right? We have to say, okay, I call this a pathology. It's gender dysphoria. And Vesper's saying, where did it go? Yeah, okay, thank you. So Vesper says to gain I'm not going to, let me hold off on that. Transition is proven to ease the symptoms of gender dysphoria. The thing is, we have to get a diagnosis of a pathology in order to do something that's going to make us feel better. So it doesn't help us. We're trying to put human experience into the same model that we do something like when we go, oh, you're low in vitamin D, take a vitamin D pill. We're trying to say that there are supposed to be objective criteria. There's not even objective criteria in biochemistry. Right? I mean, everybody's biochemistry is significantly different, and yet you'll go to a doctor, and the doctor will go, oh, I'll take a blood test. You need more, vitamin whatever. You got too much bilirubin in your blood, and that's somewhat objective. We do have ranges, but at the end of the day, can we do that with the entire human experience? We try to, and we fail, and that's why there are so many people who are extremely unhappy out there, including me, including Morgan, including Margie. We used to be these people, including Vesper, transition has been shown over and over and over to ease the symptoms of gender dysphoria. There you go. So Vesper does bring up a point, and it's totally good. So she says that part of this bit that Angela says with the psychiatrist, there are people with who do have a dysfunction with seeking surgery. Very true. I rephrased that a little bit because I wanted to make it. Yeah, the psychiatrist has to make sure you're of a sound mind. So I think what's lovely is you have to go in there and you go, and the psychiatrist goes, oh, well, I'm going to diagnose you with a pathology and then declare you of sound mind. Anyway, this is the medical community today. There you go. Let me see. And I like this, Emma. I want to pop this up, and then I think I'm going to go because Margie has made a good point. This is really Stompy Day in the chat. You are not outed, Morgan, but oh gosh, okay, I'm not done because Anne asks a great question. So Emma says you have to work on fixing the stuff that makes you different by finding the people that get you as a person. Community is huge. I think community is huge. The big point that I will make there is you do have to look within and look within to figure out what is the stuff that makes you different. I think a lot of us don't do that. And so we figure if we can go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist who will tell us, look, this is what's wrong with you, then we go, great, now I've got a label and I'm cool. So yeah, we have to look inside as well and go, well, what does make us different? All right, here we go. This is for sure my last one. So Anne asks the question, isn't gender dysphoria like PTSD? This is why I had to read this, a neurotypical reaction to unusual circumstances, as in not a mental illness, but a completely normal reaction. Does that make sense? 100%. I believe, personally, gender dysphoria is really the only, well, here we go. So Vesper says, so here's the therapist talking, and then I'm going to tell her she's wrong. So stand by. Vesper says, to Anne's question, no, gender dysphoria doesn't have a known triggering cause where PTSD does. I'm going to disagree because I think that there is chronic trauma. I think it's a chronic trauma. We can't target a single event necessarily. So I love this. I appreciate the point you're making too, Vesper. I believe gender dysphoria ultimately is a way for a social environment to perpetuate a social environment. Like, what else do you have otherwise? You end up, here's my point. I think that you can take almost anybody. I mean, and people who may not have they may not remember it, but I think you can take almost anybody and ask them about their childhood and then go, that was gender dysphoria. I think that everybody gets gender dysphoria. I think it is a very common human experience. Chronic gender dysphoria is not. Gender dysphoria, I think, again, this is it is something that happens to every human just growing up in a social environment. Because I know that every 13-year-old girl who puts on makeup, I'm going to get you, Vesper, one sec. So every 13-year-old girl who puts on makeup and then somebody looks at them and goes, you look like a raccoon, what the hell? That girl just experienced a rejection of her self-expression. She might have felt gender dysphoria right there. And then it went away because she learned how to do makeup differently, let's just say. So Vesper says a complex trauma. I agree, complex. I also will say chronic, because I think it's something that just goes on and on and on. Every day we get things like that. But anyway, so Vesper says still brought about by traumatic experience, yeah. So anyway, and I do like that, and I think that that's been a tremendous amount. Gosh, I don't know when I was writing about that. It was about like the beginning of 2024 or so that I think that I was writing about this. But yeah, the idea of pathologizing normal human experiences and gender dysphoria being one of them. Do you know who just joined just as I was about to finish up? Ms. Lewis. I was talking about you earlier. Okay, I've got to hide that. Boy, I got a lot of really mean comments. Thank you so much, first of all, Matt and Margie and Frybird, and Matt again on the other side. I got to tell you, there were some ugly people here, and this stayed going pretty well. I don't know. I've had some people say, "Wow, how do you manage to handle these ugly people?" In part, it's because if you don't, there's no reason that oh, Barry says ignore the hate, just joined, you're awesome. Thank you. Matt says they're not mean comments so much as pathetic comments. The thing here is going to just be if you don't suck it up, I don't know how to put this. If you don't suck it up, remember how we were talking about victimization, playing a victim card. If you don't suck up some of that, you will not reach some people. And it sucks. It sucks that you have to go, okay, I'm going to let you abuse me to the point where somebody goes, oh, wait a minute. Did you just say something intelligent? Oh, shoot. Now I've got to think about this. I don't like it. I'm not going to pretend I like it, but there you go. So absolutely applause to the mods. As Anne says, I'm going to say thank you to everybody who showed up. Vesper and Tyler and I'm looking over here, Matt and Garden Arts, Frybird, everybody. Now shoot, now the thing's scrolling. Morgan, of course, and Margie, of course, always love to you. And I've forgotten about a bajillion people. Genevieve, and Angela. I also want to say too, I want to bring up again, Thistle is in the hospital, and I really, let's all send some good energy back to Thistle, who probably won't see this, but Thistle, this is for you. Love you, my sister. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate being able to do this. I'm going to continue to prattle if I don't just say stop going. So, Vesper, I would love to have you come on and talk shop about psych things, because I am not a psychologist. I'm a chemist. Oh, look at this. Kruber says, hey, Auntie Amy, I hope you had so much fun at the Pride Fest. That's awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. I will be back on, was it Tuesday? Yeah, so I will be back on Sunday. We're going to do it again, and hopefully it will be fun. So thank you, everybody. Bye.